What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 692 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk Hot Tags of the Week. I'm Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert E. Felice.
I'm taking the place of Tony from last night, where I'm very tired.
Oh, I'm still tired.
Talk about these hot tags.
Actually, I almost fell asleep on the couch about 20 minutes ago or so.
Yeah, so you're getting a sleepy edition of the hot tags then.
Trying to wake myself up a little bit. We have a lot of hot tags to talk about. It's been a busy week. That's part of the reason why it's so goddamn tiring. But thank you for joining us, everybody. We always want to know what you have to say too. So as we go along and we run down these different topics, then, shout out your opinions in whatever platform you're on. If you are on Facebook or Twitter or something like that you might not necessarily just randomly tweet and pull a Michael P.S. Hayes, that story from Bruce Pritchard, where he would just get a phone call in the middle of the night when he was listening to the podcast, and it was like, that was wrong, with no context and stuff. Then Discord is a great way for you to chime in with different thoughts and, timestamp things and all that other kind of stuff. But
please chime in exactly like that. That was wrong. No context.
The best thing, though, is if you are on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you have the YouTube comment section. And while you're over there, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, ring the notification bell, get your email alerts set up for when we go live for the post show immediately following AEW Revolution this Sunday night. If you want to help us keep the lights on and potentially continue to do this podcast when things go to hell in May, best way to do that is to click on the join button or the Patreon. They're both the same as far as the Darkcast tier, the Pick Your Poison tier, so on and so forth. Even $1 a month. The more people that do it, the better that is. And, the ad block forgiveness tier and all that good stuff too. Redbubble and TeePublic is where you get merchandise if you want to pick stuff up that way. If you want to just toss a little spare change our way through the thanks button, that's another great way of doing that too. Also, keep in mind the Smark Madness tournament is going on right now, so vote on who you think John Cena's best rival of all time is. You can find that by just going to smarkoutmoment.com. I don't have the sidebar thing up. I just kind of don't feel like doing it. I probably should. This, will only take me about 5 minutes to do, but 5 minutes is... Sometimes 5 minutes is a lot.
I hope one day we tap into Tony with energy again.
Yeah,
I understand why, but I'm hoping we get back there.
There's a lot of straws breaking this camel's back. That's a good enough transition to talk about a natural disaster as any. They're going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025, according to WrestleVotes. This has not been confirmed yet from WWE announcing anything that I have seen, at the very least. But when you have a report like this from WrestleVotes, you trust it, because WrestleVotes is I don't know, I remember the last time the WrestleVotes was wrong about something. So
I hope he's wrong about that. I hope he's wrong about that one.
You don't want them to be inducted?
Not right now.
I am surprised that Demolition isn't the name.
Boys over Demolition? I'm not saying that John Tenta, Earthquake, and Fred Ottman, Typhoon, aren't great legends of wrestling, especially John Tenta. But I'm saying the Natural Disasters is not a fucking stop the presses. Sorry, I probably just ruined your monetization.
I said goddamn in the first 40 seconds.
Stop the presses. It's the Natural Disasters. Name me 5 natural disaster matches. I'm not even doing the weird I'm a fucking wrestling nerd. But no, seriously, somebody name me 5 natural disaster matches.
Royal Rumble. I always liked the Natural Disasters, but again, they're not a team that would have been in my top 20 tag teams all time.
Okay, but in the context that pairing the two big guys makes sense, or
for that era, yeah, they were fun.
Yeah, no, I think again, great team.
I liked them more than Demolition.
You're fundamentally wrong.
No, I'm right. I did like them more.
No, your opinion is wrong.
And I'll take Typhoon over Tugboat any day of the week.
Well, I'll take dead thing clearly. I'll take the Shockmaster over all of that. But, like, I just don't understand why in a year where I pitched this a couple weeks ago when we talked about Michelle McCool. You've got the Hardy Boys right there. You could do a whole Ruthless Aggression era class. And you're going to be like, nah, maybe Demolition. Demolition's cool. Demolition should have been in 20 years ago. But the Natural Disasters just feels like,
Maybe they were
really
like,
reaching.
Look at the state of the world in 2025.
Yeah, that's all the more reason I don't want another natural disaster. I mean, they'll be inducted, and they'll, Typhoon at least will be right in front of us, and people will still deny that natural disasters are a byproduct of climate change.
I have my doomsday clock outside my window every fucking day, so fuck you, Metronome and NYC. It's exhausting seeing a big red glare like that Kenny Rogers chicken thing from Seinfeld, just being like, the world's ending in T-minus less time than it was yesterday. And it's like, I know. Who do you think's going to induct them?
Jimmy Hart.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah. There's no one else that can reasonably do this. And, because again, who are their, best opponents?
How many of them are even still around?
We're gonna get the Beverly Brothers. Are the I think the Bushwhackers, or at least one of them, has since passed away, unfortunately. It would have, unless you get Money Inc. to do it. But like,
I could see Jimmy Hart being the one that. No,
yeah,
he's an easy. They just go up there. They're like, Jimmy, go talk, and he's like, let me tell you something, baby.
Yeah, baby.
I remember the natural disasters.
The natural disasters. Oh my God, we had the earthquake, and then we got the typhoon. Yeah, baby, we did. And you'll be like, oh, that was fun. Because
Jimmy Hart's like he's like a little puppy.
And he's like one of those like miniatures that just stays, that looks the same exactly from what you got him.
That baked beans and baked potato diet really works.
I love Jimmy Hart. Induct him again.
Just don't give him a +1. We'll end up inviting Hogan. We don't ignore him. So yeah, congrats on natural disasters when that gets officially confirmed, I guess.
Is Typhoon's son still ringing the bell? Cody's cousin over there?
Is he? I didn't even know that he was.
Yeah, he's the timekeeper.
Did not know that. Or if I did, I completely forgot about it. Maybe he's part of the thing. They've done the thing that they did before the last couple of years where they just don't seem to want to announce who's inducting people.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, there's also the rumors that it's not going to take place when it has been, so I guess there's a lot of announcements.
Isn't there even like it's not even confirmed yet about when Stand and Deliver is happening too?
No, I think that's still on Saturday. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Saturday afternoon.
I think it's happening on Saturday, but they haven't settled on a time yet.
Oh, that's true, because it could be 10 morning.
Yeah.
No, it can't be, because they're in Vegas, so I think that would push it to like 7 for them, and I don't think they're going to start a show at 7 in the morning.
You gotta figure that shit out soon. Yeah. Well, as far as other pay-per-views are concerned, these also have not been confirmed from WWE, but a whole lot of reports today about some upcoming events. Saturday night's main event on May 24th, and NXT Battleground, or I guess it'll be WWE Battleground, that they don't throw the NXT logo in, but it'll be for NXT the next day on May 25th, which is the same day as Double or Nothing. So that is annoying to have to do double the coverage at the same time. I always hate that. And, not that WWE cares, because in their minds, watch our show, don't watch AEW. And anybody who has a job for this is, I guess, just, fuck you. You were a loser. And the other one being possible that on July 5th at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, that Evolution 2 would happen. Of course, I'm not the biggest fan of Battleground being on the same day as Double or Nothing. That's annoying, but hey, sure, fine, whatever. It's not my favorite name of a pay-per-view, but it seems like they're pretty much stuck at continuing to do that. Evolution, I don't think has ever been a really particularly great idea outside of the posturing for it. Like, I get the appeal and I get why people like the idea, because it's a way to give a boost to the women's division, and it's a way to showcase some people in a way that's like, hey, let's, pat them on the back. Totally down for that. But I don't ever think that every time that I've been seeing people pitching for that to be like an annual pay-per-view, Evolution's never struck me as a thing that's like, oh man, I wish that they did that every year, and they have so many matches that they could have been doing and all this, that I'm itching for the lower card women's division to make it on a higher pay-per-view. Now, we're on a weird time schedule when it comes to pay-per-views lately, where it's like they don't like doing more than like 6 matches. So that already to me makes it seem like, is this really going to be kind of worth it? Isn't it just going to be the I was gonna say Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions, but the Women's World Championship, the WWE Women's Championship, that's the undisputed belt that's not undisputed, Women's United States title, Women's Intercontinental title. You got 4 already right there. You got tag titles, that's 5. And then what, some like Battle Royal or something? That's it?
You can do like a Battle Royal and a couple of grudge matches and you get to 7.
And like, I'm not interested in it being like, this is exactly where we get a big boost for some people that wouldn't normally make it onto the card. That, let's be honest, not everybody is the top tier talent. And not every single person should be in the main event. And that's for the women's division and the men's division and the tag team division. And it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all across the board. I think that you could build a pretty good card, but you have to include NXT to do that.
I think they would.
And even then too, you throw the 5 main roster titles on there, you throw the NXT Women's Championship, the NXT Women's North American Championship, you already had 7 matches.
I'm not sure if everybody would get a title match, because I think you can just do 6 women matches and stuff like that. I think the idea to go back to Evolution now is an interesting one.
And on July 5th, like right around Great American Bash time?
Well, it's Independence Day for women. That's not actually true. Women's Independence Day is... Well, this is Women's Month, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. So shouldn't they announce it this month? If you're going to do that.
Shouldn't it be this month?
Yes, actually. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. If it happens.
It's impossible at this point to be like, and I think that this match should be on the card. It's July. We don't even know what's happening in Mania. So
look, if you had a gun to my head right now, I'd hope that this is one of the ones AJ Lee decides to come back for.
I mean, I want AJ Lee to come back in like any capacity that she's able to. So if this is what brings her back, then okay, But I don't want to see like, okay, then this is where we get the, Nikki Bella is challenging Rhea Ripley for the title or something.
I'd be okay with Nikki Bella challenging Tiffany at some point. I don't know if you need Evolution for it, but I'd be okay with it.
I'm hoping that they at least put a Battle Royal in there, because that's a great way to like, you throw in people like Natty, who they just like, hey, do you want to go to other companies and do wrestling because we don't want to use you here? And like throw in like your Trish Stratuses and, Lita and all those names that want to come back in that capacity that didn't show up for the Royal Rumble or maybe did. And, they could still do more than one thing a year. But none of these are confirmed yet. So, I mean, down the line, we might end up, it might even be tonight on SmackDown. They might end up just going like, oh, by the way, Evolution is happening and whatever like that. Or they could do the thing that they normally do with a lot of like, this story was broken by ESPN and so on and so forth. But that would be potentially July 5th in Connecticut. The Saturday night's main event in Battleground will be on Tampa at whatever the something arena. I forget the name of it. So it starts with an A. Not all I'll say. Was it?
The Amalie Arena?
Amalie Arena? Yeah. On May 24th and 25th.
It was the home of the Thunderdome.
I thought that they'd changed that. It wasn't Amalie Arena back then, right?
Oh, wait. Was Amalie supposed to be where... No, it wasn't Amalie, and then they moved it to Tropicana.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I'm more used to typing that out then. Let's see what we bounce around to. Well, if we're going to talk about the women's division, let's talk about one of the biggest stories. I don't know if this might be thumbnail or something, but it might be because I haven't made the thumbnail yet. Monday Night Raw had a couple interesting things that happened, not the least of which, of course, was the main event. Io Sky beats Rhea Ripley to win the Women's World Championship, and I did not see that coming. I just assumed Rhea was going to retain and then have a stare down with Bianca or something. So now it just becomes, okay, well, how is Rhea Ripley going to get back into this? Because it's going to be a triple threat. It would be insane if they just pushed Rhea to the side. Not only would she have nothing to do, and it would be nuts for her to not be at WrestleMania, but it would also be a downgrade as far as like the marquee. Because look, let's face it, Io Sky, great wrestler, super fun to watch in the ring. Not as popular as Rhea Ripley, and there is no debate about it.
Most of the people in the men's top storylines are not as popular as Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, most of the people in the entire company are not as popular as Rhea Ripley. So
most of the people in the entire industry are not as popular as Rhea Ripley.
Most of the people on the planet.
Absolutely true.
It would be nuts. And for some reason, I guess they decided that they wanted to throw Io in the mix here. And they thought the best way of doing that was to have her win the title. So that way Rhea Ripley could be in the challenger position again, look like a dope again, because it's WrestleMania season. And they like doing that with her. I guess they figured Io is the one that's coming into this with the least momentum. So if they had the title change, not only is it really surprising and it gets people talking, but it also changes the dynamic. And it's like, okay, well, ooh, anything can happen on the road to WrestleMania.
Okay, now this is where I gotta, I don't want to say it's karma for me, but it's also like, be careful what you wish for.
Karma for me.
Because I was absolutely pitching, change some titles. You can do that along the road to WrestleMania. I didn't mean take your top face and make her look like, now she's like weeping, like, oh, I trusted people, friends aren't real. It's like, for Mania, Ripley, like, okay, if this is how you want to get her back into being a heel, because you'd never really wanted her to turn face, I understand.
Oh, you think that Ripley's turning heel?
I think she'll be the tweener for this. Well, that's hard to say, actually. Because they're all definitively baby faces.
She's sitting there beating herself up, calling herself stupid. And yeah, I would think that if she was going to turn
to anger.
Well, I would think if she was going to turn heel that they would have had her be pissed. But she, in the post-match thing, was like, I can't even be mad at any of them because it's my fault. Which is a very babyface thing to say.
Well, didn't she cry after losing to Charlotte?
Yep.
And I don't know if she cried because pandemic or if she cried because storyline.
Well, she tapped out, right?
Yeah, she tapped out and then was sad.
She says, I'm begging you, pick me, because I'm kicking ass at NXT and I've got all the momentum in the world. And Charlotte's like, meh, I'm Charlotte Flair. Makes her tap out and makes her cry. And then 5
years later.
And then a month later, I think it was a month later, Io Sky pins Rhea Ripley to take the belt off of Charlotte in your house. Yeah. So that's like the running gag with Rhea.
That was not a month later, by the way. It was like 2 months.
2 months? That was close. It was like the next like NXT pay-per-view. So it was completely pointless. That was during the era of, well, we did this for a specific reason. And it was like, yeah, you did it for a reason because you thought that Flair on NXT was going to boost the ratings. And then it didn't. So then you said, fuck it, never mind.
Didn't, but to be fair to Flair, it didn't because pandemic.
Also, this is the same era as, and I'm never going to let them kill this down. The unique way that Braun Strowman would replace Roman Reigns at WrestleMania is to have him go
back to that, because did he say it's a unique way, or did he just go, we're getting rid of Roman and it's going to be unique? And the unique part was, hey, fucking Braun Strowman's going to be the world champion.
They had said something along the lines of, we found a unique way to change the story or something. And it's like, hey, everybody, tomorrow's WrestleMania. This is happening, that match. But like that, by the way, Braun Strowman is replacing Roman.
And now Braun Strowman is challenging Goldberg. What?
It's basically the equivalent of today's performance. The part of Roman Reigns will be played by Braun Strowman. And then the lights go down. But the Rhea thing, this is one of those things where it's like, no matter what I say, I'm either not being honest or people are going to jump down my throat. So the not honest, and I'm just going to not say my full opinion, would be, oh man, Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. 3 of the best in-ring talents that they have, arguably maybe the 3 best, and that's a great way to approach that. The match is going to kick ass. How fun is that? The rest of it that I would edit out is, I didn't want to see Io in this match. I think that she could be doing something else, or she could have potentially just not even been at WrestleMania this year, and I wouldn't have been super duper upset about it, where she could have been in the tag team title match if they would have gone in that direction. And Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, it was something that I was more interested in, although I still think that they were dropping the ball with that too. So now that they are throwing Io in there, that's even more so not going to be the proper Ripley and Belair feud. And I think that this was kind of one of those mercy plays that they did, where they're just switching things up for the hell of it. And yes, the match is going to be great, but go back and watch any of the past episodes of the show. When do I ever go, I'm fine with a month and a half worth of blah if the match is great? I never say that. It's never my opinion. So I do think that this is falling into the same category as a lot of things for Mania this year, which is like they waited until like mid-February to get a plan, and they're going to rush, and then they're also going to stall. And a lot of people are going to do the thing that they're banking on, which is, but isn't the match going to be great? And then it is. And then people go, oh my God, this was amazing. Triple H is cooking. And if they don't have those great matches, then that proves to you that you can't just depend on that thing. So yes, Io as champion's not a bad thing. She's great. I don't think it should have happened now. I don't think this should be a triple threat match. This is what I wanted to book, and I'm curious how they're going to tell this story going forward, because Ripley looks like an idiot. Belair is like, oh man, Jade attacked Naomi anyway. And that's weird.
Yeah, she could end up being revealed to be in on it.
One of these 3 should turn heel.
It could be Bia. You know what would be the ultimate swerve?
Strickland?
No.
You toss out some like total package, I'm going to say Lex Luger. You toss out Swerve, I'm going to say Strickland every single time.
Like,
I hit Caroline with one of my traditional jokes earlier where we saw Mickey 17. I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be lost. We didn't see the first 16.
That's genuinely funny. No, but you know, like
big swerve.
If Bianca set up Naomi and like actually attacked Jade, and Naomi took the heat for it, and now she's away because she's on Raw feuding with these 2.
Naomi comes back and she's like, I didn't fucking do it. And then they show the footage and it's Bianca wearing the
glow
green wig. Yeah.
You know what? I don't hate that idea.
It still wouldn't make any sense why Bianca would leave that United States title tournament match, but then again, WWE has never shied away from going, look, it doesn't make sense, but we didn't have that plan when that happened, so shut up. Yeah.
Although, we should talk about this. And I'll circle back to the EO stuff too, but we should talk about this. Jade put out a vignette on socials and kind of made it look like she was going to be the heel. I'm sure you didn't see this.
No, I didn't.
She basically was like, you know, I've been surrounded by wolves all this time, and I'm done playing by the rules. I'm one of one. I'm that bitch. You know, it's my time now. And I'm like, that's kind of heelish.
Which would be weird to be like, somebody beat me up and threw me on top of a car. I'm going to get some revenge. And then people go, you bitch. She would have every right to do that and more. But then again, we're talking about pro wrestling where this woman for like 4 months just didn't talk to anybody. Just got beaten up and then decided to just go fuck off and take pictures and, not send a text.
That does drive me insane. Like, what do you mean you don't know who attacked her? Jade hasn't, said who attacked her? You haven't looked through the security film of the arena?
Yeah, and the idea that the security footage was like, we only found this one angle of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez 3 months after this happened. So, hell of a company when you get somebody attacks somebody backstage in an area where you're able to get footage after the attack perfectly fine. And then it takes multiple months and they're like, yeah, we don't have any angles of anything. Pro wrestling's dumb as shit.
It really is. You have to just suspend that disbelief. Turn it off completely.
Yeah. It's not dumb. That opening from Raw from CM Punk.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite thing.
Loved that opening. A lot of the episode fell down after that, but that was a great start. Cut a hell of a promo. A lot of people tossing out their ideas that they think that Punk is going to somehow get into the Cena and Cody match, which I don't think is going to be the case.
Well, let's be clear. He straight up said, you think I've exhausted all my options to main event this show. I have not. It'd be crazy, but I'm still going with Cena Cody night 1. Triple threat determines who faces winner of that match night 2.
I'm still thinking if they're going to give Punk the main event, it's just going to be the 3 of them in a match and they're going to go, but it's in it a big match. And no other factors to it.
That's a hard sell.
But next week, we're going to get a steel cage match between Punk and Rollins. So something has to happen there. I'm assuming Roman Reigns returns and goes after them.
It's
and then
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns should absolutely be returning.
If that goes by and it's just Punk and Rollins have a match, I'm going to be extremely surprised.
To that matter, I'd be surprised if Rock and Cena aren't also at Madison Square Garden.
I mean, one of the things that they could do that really would screw this up is if Cena in particular is just basically not here for the road to WrestleMania. We're going to get Cody talking about it tonight on SmackDown, which I'm anticipating is going to be, a 15-minute promo about how he's like, fuck you, John Cena. Then he gets attacked by Solo Sikoa probably, because, that's all Solo can do is rinse and repeat that feud over and over again. That report that they had something else for Solo and or Jacob Fatu other than against each other, that has to be wrong.
I don't know anymore. Because if you think about it, they could have. They could have had something where it was Bloodline Wyatts or something.
I just think you have to go in that direction. Maybe you can justify Jacob Fatu for the fights for the United States title. but Solo would have nothing. And they're teasing too much of those two going up against each other. And Tama Tonga just being like, guys. Well, he wouldn't be like, guys, get along. He would just be like, yeah.
I had it would be Bloodline Wyatts. But then Tama got injured and, all that stuff.
Tangaloa, you mean?
What did I say?
Tama.
All right, look, they both have
Tama Tangaloa. There you go.
Yeah. Camacho got injured, okay?
Where the fuck is Hikuleo?
Where's the Lance out of Hawaii?
Yeah, what the fuck, man? I don't know. I don't get it. A lot of other things on Raw are the things that are just like, we're killing time. Like Gunther beats Otis, and we're going to get A-Town Down Under against Jey Uso for a while. And it seems like AJ Styles is going to go after Logan Paul next week. And Karrion Kross was there to be like, hey, I straightened my hair. What do you think? And Styles is like, I know, it's beautiful. Mine too. And then I guess they're moving on from the Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn thing. And I don't know why Kross is in the mix with Styles. The only thing I can think of is because, well, we want Styles to do something over the next 7 weeks. So Styles has a little mini feud with Karrion Kross because he can't be fighting Logan Paul, who's not there.
I think this is going to be a foray for the IC title. I think they'll just throw in Balor and Breakker.
But that would be 5-way then, right?
No, 4.
Styles, Kross, Logan Paul.
Kross is not getting a match at WrestleMania. Stop it. Stop.
Well, the Balor and Breakker thing. I mean, if they don't just go Balor and Breakker, then, I mean, what is Dom going to do? Because Dom, here's the other thing that was like, War Raiders, it was a shit night for American Made. Creed brothers are like, we're going to get the tag titles. No, you're not. Ivy Niles like, I'm going to get the women's intercontinental title. No, I'm not. But Chad Gable bought a luchador mask, I guess. He bought a box from some dude that kind of looked a little bit like Pai Mei from Kill Bill, like with the long beard. And now he has luchador powers. So at some point we're going to see him, I don't know, pull out his Dakota ring and be like, luchador powers activate. I think we're getting Chad Gable in a luchador mask. And I guess it's going to be him against like Penta at Mania. Maybe a tag thing. Maybe it's like Dom and Gable against Penta and Ray. We'll talk about Ray Fenix a little bit. I guess we can just mention it now. Ray Fenix seems like he is able to be gone from AEW. Also, Zach Knight is, but
that what Chad Gable found was his contract.
What's that?
Yeah, I have every reason to believe that Chad Gable was gifted a box with Ray Fenix's contract.
I mean, it would be an interesting story if Ray comes in as Penta's opponent. Like, that'd be fun.
I don't think they want to burn through what they can do with the Lucha Brothers right off the bat because
I don't think they're going to.
They wanted the Lucha Brothers so long ago.
I mean, Ray Fenix, I should say, instead of Mysterio, he's going to WWE. We know this. It's just a matter of like, when do they sign the contract and when does he show up? And there was something recently that was talking about like that they might try to finagle him to get into WrestleMania. I feel bad for somebody like a Dragon Lee because last year they screwed over Carlito and Dragon Lee, and they kind of readjusted that whole LWO and Legato thing, and it kind of feels like they might end up doing the same thing again this year, just to sort of be like, all right, let's do some kind of a multi-man tornado tag or whatever they might have to do. And there's a tornado tag this week with New Day, but that too, like maybe they end up just being like, let's throw these all into the tag team thing. It's like War Raiders, New Day, and LWO, and so on and so forth. But I do think Balor and Breakker seems to be the plan after they had teased it was going to be Styles and Breaker. Because now it's just Styles and Logan Paul. I mean, that they're either having a singles match or they're getting lumped in with somebody else. But Styles and Logan Paul are fighting each other at Mania in some way. I'm still completely unknown for what they do with Sami Zayn. I can't think of anything that they do with that guy. Sorry about that.
I'm beginning to wonder if he just take a couple months off.
He probably at this point would need to, because if he doesn't come back soon, there's not going to be any time for him to do anything for Mania. They can't just like wait a week until Mania and be like, he's back and now we're going to build a whole match and do all that, you know?
Right.
Which is weird if they're like planning in February, we're going to write you off because we don't want to do anything with Sami Zayn of all people for WrestleMania, you know?
Yeah, look, if I was in the position that Sammy's in, I'd take the month off. I'd be like, you know what? I couldn't top myself, so I took the year off from WrestleMania.
What else happened on Raw? Is there anything else we need to talk about? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Backtracking a little bit again to just one of those other points, because we already mentioned it. And, whatever. Ray Fenix seems like he is gone from AEW. So is Zach Knight, Saraya's brother.
All right, Zach Knight, look. The words that want to come out of my mouth are, I feel bad. But that would be not true. And that's not me saying like, haha, lose your job. No, obviously not. If you think we get on this podcast and do that, you don't know us as people. Fuck off. My thing with Zach that I do feel bad about is, bro, you came in and your sister announces you as signing with the company. You never get the graphic. You don't do much, and then you're just gone. I feel bad. Not that I'm saying you would have been AEW champion. It just kind of sucks.
It's how much did they sign him for just to appease Saraya?
By the way, her book is coming out soon.
Oh, she wrote a book?
Yeah. That's where she's been. She's just been working on the book.
Good for her. Yeah, we'll bounce back to AEW.
Oh, Jamie Hayter's got visa issues.
Oh, that's why she hasn't been around?
Yeah, you didn't read her passive aggressive tweet at Sean Rossap.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so I mean that explains part of why they dropped the ball with her. And they can't book her if she can't be there. Speaking of Booker, there's a transition. Let's talk about NXT. Actually, real quick, Booker T's he's upgrading the reality of wrestling. They're getting 2 extra programs, apparently.
Because everything needs more TV.
Yeah. I've never watched an ROW show, but for anybody that is interested, the main show is going to be redubbed Platinum. There's going to be Glory, I think was the name of one of the other ones, and ROW Up, if I remember correctly, was the name of the behind the scenes training the rookies type of show. So if you're a big reality wrestling fan, then you got more content coming your way. But Booker T also can be found on NXT, could also be found on WWE LFG. We'll talk about that in a moment too. NXT this week had some interesting things because, man, every week of NXT is like bam story, bam story, bam story. I was fucking furious this week because out of all the times to do something like that, we got this dumbass going on television ruining this country. And New York and Chicago were the 2 outlets that decided, no, we want to show that instead of NXT. So I had to find, out of all the options that I had in front of me of different ways that I could potentially watch things legally, could not do that because there was no option to do it. It was just, you should watch it tomorrow. Motherfuckers, I can't do live coverage the next day. So I had to rely on the kindness of strangers on the internet doing their live streams. Thankfully for them, they, after a long while, they were having issues as well. It was really frustrating. I missed some elements of NXT this week because I couldn't rewind the show. And, you know, by the time that like a feed would get back up and running, it was like, and that's when you'll see The Undertaker next. Anyway, the next matches. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck's up with The Undertaker? You know, like that kind of thing. But they started this episode with Sol Ruca and Zarya beating Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Chelsea Green got her nose busted. As far as I'm aware, she didn't like break her nose or anything. It was just sort of like bloody nose. Sol Ruca pinning Chelsea Green pretty much means to me, I don't know if I'm going to be right about the prediction of her getting a match at Stand and Deliver. That seems like it's too far away. But she's going to get a Women's United States title match, right? Like,
I mean, yeah. I thought they were going to announce it for Roadblock.
I thought Roadblock, but then they stacked it with an extra match, so there's no room for it now. But they're already announcing a match for the next week, so it might be on that show.
It could be.
Which, by the way, for anybody that's wondering what that match is, Trick Williams completely squashed Kale Dixon. That's a great way to showcase that talent, to have him just lose in 3 seconds. And then called out Eddie Thorpe, and Eddie Thorpe's like, we're going to have an NXT Underground match. So Thorpe has won 2 of those matches. And that should be the blow off to their feud, because it should have already had a blow off like 3 other times before.
No, they have to buy time because Obafemi has to face Moose first.
Who?
No, not who. Moose.
Yeah, Moose. There you go. The ruler is having his Titan versus Titan, not title versus title
Listen,
match.
asshole. Okay. It was very much title versus title.
Even Botchamania this week, Matthew had that. It's like thinking that he had said that. Just the wording is like right after they say title for title, do you go Titan for Titan or whatever? Like it's so close that you just could have done it better. But Sol Ruca, I am assuming she's going to get a match against Chelsea Green, and I don't anticipate she wins that title, but it can be fun. Sol Ruca's fun. Chelsea Green's fun. Fun things are fun, and good things are good. And Babatunde is big. These are just rules of the universe.
That's my favorite running gag.
There's plenty of really, really stupid ones, but this one always makes me tickle. This one always tickles me, I should say. It makes me tickle. That doesn't make any sense.
It
makes me tickle.
It made me tickle.
Yeah. Kelly Kincaid was back. Good to see her back. She was doing some interview stuff. The family, of course, setting up the idea that they were going to have the title change that happened, which it did. Shawn Spears wins the North American Championship from Tony D'Angelo in the main event. And he wins it in a way that I was kind of surprised about. Like, he didn't like do his finisher and get the win like a normal match. It was just Stacks gets pushed into Tony D. Tony D falls backward from the apron onto a chair, and then his back gives away when he goes for a spine buster. Like, you know what? That's a fine ending to this match. I like that. Your back's fucked up. I'm going to go right for a pin, and it's good enough. Hell yeah.
I agree. I'm happy for Spears. First singles title win.
First title win in WWE or AEW.
Yep. So I'm really happy
for the Gavin Spears, Ty Dillinger, Shawn Spears, Stan. He's got 4 names and he never won a single like tag title or anything, which is like, that's nuts. Never even won a fucking Slammy award. No accolades in WWE or AEW, and dude's been too good to not have won a single thing. So glad to see him finally win a title.
I agree with you 100%.
And now Tony D needs to move on to the world title because that's the only title he's not won in NXT.
Or he could just go to the main roster.
You know, I think that there's a good chance that he does, actually.
You know, Tony D is a character that I didn't think was going to last in NXT. When I first saw it in 2.0, I was like, oh, this is stupid. And he really has made it work. And I'm just ready to see him move on.
Let's see, we had the Hardy Boys, their whole segment. Weird that like Hank and Tank were a part of that. They really like this idea about like Briggs being like not quite a heel, but a complete asshole.
Well, you say it's weird that Hank and Tank were part of that, so it wasn't weird that Inamura and Briggs were part of it?
No, I thought that was even weirder. That was just, a means to kill some time and for Axiom to be like, hey, next week we're having that match, remember? Unfortunately, the thing that happened right after that was Jordynne Grace against Cora Jade, and that match stopped midway through with what seemed like a knee injury from Cora Jade. And by seemed like, I mean, she motioned to her knee and it seemed like she had said, my knee's fucked. And now it seems more so that it was like a potential like mini concussion deal, or, she got her bell rung in some fashion. If she's perfectly fine, then I guess it doesn't matter what happened. And hopefully she's just fine, because she's got not only that knockouts title match against Masha Slamovich at Sacrifice, but like, holy shit, I don't want anybody to get injured. But that was an awkward situation. It was even weirder too that was like right when they followed that up with the Trick Williams, Kel Dixon referee stoppage thing, which is like the match that beforehand legitimately just stopped from referee thing, and then you just go into that. But okay. Jordynne Grace got attacked by Roxanne Perez backstage, and now they're gonna have a match at I was gonna say Takeover Roadblock. So it sucks for Cora Jade, but it seems like she's okay. So that's, good news. I don't know if I really would have bothered to book the Jordynne Grace and Roxanne Perez match, partially because I just want fucking Roxanne Perez to move up to the main roster already. And they're fucking dawdling on that so much.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing that, and I don't know why. Realistically, when you think about it, they should have moved Roxy up
in January,
2 years ago,
maybe even that. Yeah,
but I will say that this is a good send off. It's the Garden. It's Jordynne Grace. Send her on her merry way with a good fight. Outside of that, man, just I want to say prayers, but not even prayers. Just like Cora Jade, worst luck. Just comes across looking. I think what was the phrase? Comes across like she's made of glass, and she's a tough superstar. It's just she did not have good luck when it comes to injury, and I feel bad for her.
So let's talk about our Roadblock predictions, because we're not going to get another opportunity to do that before the show on Tuesday. There are 5 matches currently announced for that. They might add some more, but since it's a 2-hour episode of NXT, I don't think that they're going to add more than that. If they do, it's going to be just, on a whim or something. But the Jordynne Grace and Roxanne Perez match, I am expecting Jordynne Grace to win that.
I mean, yeah. One of them just got to NXT.
Yeah. There is a New York City street fight between Ethan Page and Javon Evans.
Bouncy. And he'll win.
Evans should win, and that should be the end of the feud. Tag team title match for the world tag team titles for TNA is one of those scenarios where it's like, all right, well, TNA tag titles are on the line. You and I are disagreeing on this, funny enough. I'm like, okay, that's the Hardy Boys are going to retain. But you, last time we were talking about this, you think Fraxium's going to win.
Why not? Just it makes it look like anything can happen, man. That's the beauty of it.
If they're okay with it, I would love to see that happen because Obafemi versus Moose for the NXT title is another one of those scenarios where it's like, all right, Moose isn't going to win. And if the TNA tag titles change hands, then there's at least going to be a little bit of doubt that maybe Obafemi could lose. But he's not going to.
And he's not going to because, they already taped next week's episode of TNA, and I don't think Moose shows up with the NXT title.
Did they say anything as far as Cora and Masha?
That's still on. Cora says she's doing okay, so I assume it's still on for now.
Oh, that's good. And then there's that whole title for title, winner takes all, champion versus champion, champion of all champions, whatever they said it. La Primera thing. Julia with the NXT Women's Championship, Stephanie Vaquer with the NXT Women's North American Championship. I still don't understand why they're doing this match, but at least one report had came out that maybe Julia is banged up and needs to take some time off.
I'm going to say that she's not, because I have it on good authority. She's not. And no one's banged up. But I will say, what if it's a visa thing? On either end.
To just be like, you're not going to be around for a little while, so we needed to take a title off of you, and let's just do this match.
Yeah, because
instead of, Vaquer drops it to Fallon. Or
somebody.
There's
always the chance that we're overthinking it, and it's just going to be a schmoz finish, and we don't change any belts.
I would say that would be disappointing. Because when they announce and book something like this, and then they go, we got you, it actually isn't happening, then that's like kind of false advertisement. But at the same time, I don't want either of them to lose their championship, so I wouldn't be super opposed to it just because of that. Like, I think that it's too early for Julia to drop the title, and I don't understand why Stephanie would be the one to just win it now. And then whoever wins is probably going to drop the North American title. And I don't think it does any favors for either of them to have this match right now.
But if somebody does vacate it, that's an easy way to get to a ladder match instead of
which would more than likely be the North American title match. And then that's Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, Carmen Petrovich, Fallon Henley, Lola Vice,
And I was going to say someone like Thea, but she hasn't even been on TV in a while.
Yeah, where the hell is Thea at this point? I've seen her more on TikTok than I've seen her in WWE, which is ridiculous.
Well, she got kicked out of school. When you lose out on that Pell Grant called love, you don't know what you're doing with your life.
Now, anything else that happens with Roadblock is completely up in the air because
I want to know where the 4 dudes that are not Retribution, but totally Retribution, where are they?
Yeah, they didn't even show up this week, did they?
No.
Which, that's not a great sign. Realistically speaking, they don't have a leader. They haven't talked. They haven't done anything, really. They've attacked a couple people, but it really hasn't mattered. Like, they attacked Robert Stone and he just pops right back up. He's perfectly fine. And they don't have a name to try to give you an association. I'm not liking it.
I'm not throwing in the towel yet.
Now, one of those guys did pop up on LFG for this most recent episode.
And who is that?
Cutler James. Because BJ Ray got injured. So he's not able to continue with the rest of the show. Now, this stuff was recorded somewhere in advance. So I don't know exactly when they did this. And, the timeline of how all these things are working out and all. But Cutler James replaces BJ. And that in and of itself was kind of weird because they acted like there were 4 people that could potentially replace him, and it was and these guys weren't good enough to get onto the show, and it's so Drake Moreau, I think, was one of the. No, it wasn't Drake Moreau. It was Josh Black, actually. And Cutler James, and I want to say that the guy's name was Chase Hatch. It's like a cowboy kind of name. What I should do is go to smarkoutmoment.com and go to the roster page, because that page has a lot of information about a lot of these things. So maybe it wasn't Chase Hatch, maybe it was something else. But they were acting like, hey, these guys weren't good enough to get on the LFG show. And it's like, well, if Cutler James is one of those, then why is he already on NXT even?
That's why he's angry. That's why he's looking for retribution.
But the other story that comes out of LFG is that it's been renewed for a season 2, but Mickie has been booted out of the show in favor of Michelle McCool.
Undertaker politicking for a reality show on A&E. It's fantastic.
That sucks for Mickie.
Absolutely. It should be 2 men, 2 women.
It really should be.
Get rid of Bubba.
Honestly, I think get rid of Booker. Because Bubba...
Man. What? If you get rid of Booker, who's going to say, no bread, no water, just need...
He did that for Anthony Luke on this episode.
I love... Okay, look. We have some fun on the show, and it sometimes sounds like we're just crapping on things. I unironically love Booker T.
Booker is so fun. He when Stephanie Vaquer was doing that, like, butt slam, whatever she calls it, I don't know.
And he's just,
yeah. And then Vic this week was like, somebody needs to give him a cigarette. Yeah, I mean, like, it sucks to see that that's a thing where Taker... The reports that I had read at the very least said that, like, it wasn't that Taker wanted Mickie out of the show.
He just wanted
Michelle McCool there, and then they decided for some reason, well, we're just going to boot Mickie in favor for her, which that sucks. Maybe there's another element of the story here. Maybe Mickie was like, I'm not really interested in doing this again. She could take my spot. But Michelle McCool's on the episode helping Mickie and getting into her little spat with Undertaker for literally like 6.5 seconds, and they make it seem like it's going to be a whole big thing.
Do you think Undertaker's angling for a Meet the Callaways reality show?
Man, I would not at all watch that show. For multiple different reasons.
Not the least of which being you're just tired.
I also don't want to hear his opinion about almost anything anymore except for pro wrestling.
No. Big Mark from Texas is not your cup of tea?
Yeah, I don't need him to be like, you see the problem with the country this state. Nope. Tell me again about how your favorite opponents are so-and-so or whatever.
Yeah, talk about the Shawn Michaels and Triple H match for the 100th time.
Yeah. Hey, did you think by any chance that you had killed Mick Foley when you threw him off? I'm going to go back to that conversation from the other day where we were like, that's the same talking points and all.
It is. It's same, it really is. I'm not going to get into it, but it's the same talking points.
Speaking of same old, did you watch WWE Evolve?
Not yet.
It's Level Up.
But I think it's got a unique spin. Because it's on Tubi. It's, they're presenting it like it's another show. They're not just calling it, NXT Level Up. You can eventually add a title to it. I kind of like it. And I kind of like the way that they're presenting the indie people from the ID program.
I was thoroughly underwhelmed. I was like, all right, well, this is the even more low rent version of Level Up in some ways. And some of the elements are like, yeah, it's fun that you're giving like Peter Rosenberg a chance to be on commentary, or like, in theory, this is better for these people because they get to get more reps in. They get to have like some exposure, but I really would love to see the numbers of like how many people are really watching this show. Because between LFG and Evolve, LFG is a more fun show. For me, at least. You know, I like the behind the scenes thing more than just watching the rookies that are not even in the rookie, like the minor leagues is what Evolve is. And when it's like, hey, we got a 6-man tag and it's Freddie Smith and Ricky Huzitz and, you know, whatever. Okay, I don't care. And it's just matches right now. Like, there's no stories, there's no titles, there's nothing going on yet. The only thing that happened in the episode was Callie Armstrong was upset that she lost and blamed it on her tag team partner. And Shawn Michaels was like, all right, well, I'm not going to be around here. I'm going to go fuck off. Ava, can you do this? You're in charge.
Yeah, I didn't like that. Because if she's in charge, why are you why was it like a separate announcement? Why weren't you just like, hey, the NXT GM is in charge of Evolve? Because, you know, it's a feeder system for the feeder system.
Also, it's just always weird to me, the idea of like, we need somebody that can corral all this talent. We need somebody who understands wrestlers and doing all this stuff. We've got 2-time Hall of Famers, and we've got these legendary managers and these, you know, I've won 27 titles in WWE. I know. Ava. Yeah.
Hey, nepotism is a powerful one.
Yeah, very much is.
It
doesn't get you everything, though. It doesn't get you turning Cody heel.
I was literally one of the only people in the world that liked Ava as a wrestler. Like, I like Ava. Ava's great.
She's much better in this role than she was as a wrestler. Absolutely. Or in Schism, or in any of that. Even still, though, I'd much rather them just have William Regal.
Or Gabe's, you know, Gabe could just be on TV.
I don't know if I've actually ever heard him talk, now that I'm thinking about it.
That's crazy.
You know what else is crazy? Fucking Acclaim is coming back.
I love this story. That's not the crazy part, though.
Everybody loves the Acclaim.
Crazy part is that Jeff Jarrett's on the on the advisory board for Acclaim.
For anybody that's not exactly aware, like, what do you mean? I don't mean the Acclaimed in AEW. It's Acclaim is the video game company that was
the video game publisher they made.
Yeah, one of the biggest ones from the late 80s and the 90s, and they did so much shit that when I was trying to write down some examples for the news report, the press release and all, I was just like, I don't even know which ones to pick from this list.
Now, granted, everybody's looking back on it now and going, yeah, they literally produced shit. But, like, back in the day where licensed IP was everything, they had NBA Jam, they had, you know, the WWF license. Acclaim being back is cool. Jeff Jarrett being on the advisory board is cool. I hope that means there's some wrestling games in the works. I'm excited to see what they do.
You think that that's going to end up being Acclaim is the new people working on like an AEW game?
It could be, but I'd like it to even be smaller than that, and just be like, hey, we're gonna do just a solid, you know, original character, even wrestling game, as long as it's solid.
And for anybody who's wondering like which games that they did, just like wrestling alone, you've got Warzone, which was like a monumental game for the N64. I think it was also PlayStation. Remember, I had
PlayStation first.
It was for PlayStation 1?
Yeah, PlayStation first.
Because I had it for 64. I only had a PlayStation 1 for a little bit, and I traded it for an N64 because I was like, well, GoldenEye. I mean, come on.
That's the most Tony decision.
Yeah, it was like I'll trade you my PlayStation for an N64 to Funko Land. Back when you could actually like trade things and it was like it mattered. Like, oh, I'll trade you a game for a game, and not like I'll trade you a game and you'll get like 8.5 cents.
So Funko Land was the place that I bought WWF Raw, which is also made by Acclaim, from 1994, and they had the license literally, guys, from 89 to 99 when their last game that they released was Attitude, and after that they did the ECW games, and then after that they did the 3 Legends Wrestling games, and then they folded shortly thereafter, but they're back now, and I'm excited to see where they go.
They had some fun games like WrestleMania, the arcade game.
Yeah.
Always liked shocking people with Doink the Clown in that game.
I hate doing it.
I was always confused about what the fuck was happening with Lex Luger. Like, why is fists?
Do you know why now?
It's the forearm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was
you
like...
know how long it took me to get that?
Like,
that,
you know...
and that Michaels hits people with a bat. Because it was like, he never did that.
Yeah, the bat. Don't get it. But that was a fun ass game. And like the Royal Rumble game was a lot of fun.
Now granted, people look back on it and go, oh, these are shit games. Gotta consider the time.
Yeah, this is like 91 or some shit. So it's like this, you know, for the fact that it was like I can play as Bam Bam Bigelow, fuck yeah. Like shit, like the first WWF WrestleMania, I think was the first game, or Super WrestleMania, it might have been one of those. I remember like being at my neighbor's house and my friend had that game, and I remember being like, oh my god, there's a game with Hulk Hogan in it. That's insane.
And that's all you needed back then.
Yeah. It's like, I think that I played it like one time, and I think that I chose Ted DiBiase or something.
That game is objectively awful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that it was fucking shit, but you know, the like the In Your House game was fun, and for anybody else who's wondering, like the other kind of things that Acclaim did, they did like a lot of the Marvel stuff back then, like Maximum Carnage and Legit. Separation Anxiety.
Any licensed IP, they did Batman Forever, shitty fucking game, but they did.
They did Simpsons games, like the Bart's Nightmare. Which to this day, I have no idea how you're supposed to beat that fucking game.
By the way, Jinx,
no, how the hell you were supposed to go through those levels? They did Turok. They did NBA Jam. You mentioned Mortal Kombat. Looking at the list right now, they did Mary Kate and Ashley series of games.
Again, there you go, licensed IP.
Mary Kate and Ashley Get a Clue. Mary Kate and Ashley Pocket Planner. What the fuck? They were popular as all hell back then.
They were so, like, you couldn't turn on the TV without seeing Mary Kate and Ashley.
Yeah, it was crazy. Double Dragon on this list. That was a fun game. You went to the Batman one. You know, they're all over the place with that kind of stuff. So nothing is like announced for like, and we're gonna do these types of games and stuff. I don't know what their game plan is as far as like if they're going to try to do the whole licensing thing again, or if they're gonna just like, I don't even know. But it's a weird story because it's like, why Jeff Jarrett?
Why not? He's the man. He is just, if there is a pie, he's got his fingers in it. Like, he's so, honest to God, I know people get annoyed by him, but I admire his never go away attitude. Like, so many people who've had his level of success would just fade into the background. He refuses. And I appreciate that.
Somehow, despite all the things that he's been involved in that didn't work, people are like, you know who I think's going to be able to turn this ship around? It's Jeff Jarrett. You know who I trust to figure out my video game stuff is Jeff Jarrett. What a gamer. You know, it's like I would have been more if they would have been like, hey, it's Kenny Omega is like leading this up, it'd be like, that makes more sense. Or, Xavier Woods, one of these gamer types. Like, I can't picture Jeff Jarrett playing any games.
He has mentioned that he's not really a gamer too, but I think this has to do. He must have had like a mutual connection, and they were like, "Hey, we want to do this," and you just happen to be in like the WWF happened to do a lot of Acclaim games, so it looks like there's something special here.
I think just be you have money, you want to invest and be in that like executive producer type of thing. Could just be that.
And he knows that games are, they're gonna make money. It'll be really interesting to see how that turns out.
I do miss when games most of these games weren't great, but it's so weird that we're in an era where like blockbusters are as big as they are, and there's just never any games for anything anymore. Like there were, anything that was popular back in the 90s, there was a game about it, and some of them were pretty damn fun.
Is a good example of this. Home Improvement with Tim Allen had a video game.
Home Alone had those games.
Home Alone had a video game. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. The people who do a song about coming, they had a video game. Like it just, what's another good one? Rocko's Modern Life.
There was a video game about that. What's the name of that fucking
Full Spot?
Well, there's that too. The 7-Up thing. There was a cartoon because you said Rocco and Spunky reminded me of it. There was another cartoon where there was like a white dog, and they made a video game of whatever that cartoon was. This is gonna bother the shit out of me.
Can you be a little more descriptive?
90s cartoon white dog video game. Let's see what comes up with
Real
that.
Monsters?
Nah, it wasn't that. Crumb was the best character in that, by the way.
Oh, you know what? Really quick hot tag. Shout out to Mike Rome and Fightful's SmackDown podcast host Alex Cardoza. They're doing a 90s podcast together on this. I guess Freddie Prinze Jr. has like a little podcast network. I'm very happy for them, and I'm excited for that because I love all things 90s.
Family Dog.
Fucking what?
Yeah, that's what I was like. It was a game for that. I don't know. I'm gotta look to see like when did the show come out and how many episodes was it? It couldn't have been more than a few episodes. There were 10 episodes of this show in June 1993 up until July 1993. So this show existed for a month, and they made a fucking video game. And I played it. I rented it. I was at fucking Blockbuster one day, and it was like, that cartoon that's on right now. I'll go play that game. And I don't remember liking the game. I don't remember liking the cartoon.
Speaking of stuff like that, this might have actually been an Acclaim release. Iron Man, Man of War, or it's something like that. It was on the original PlayStation. It was like a co-op experience. Not good. But when you're a kid, you don't think about that.
Trying to look that up right now. It doesn't look like a game that I had played. Man of War. Yeah, I don't think that I played that one. But Acclaim all over the place.
And soon they'll be all over the place again.
Yeah. Maybe we're going to start seeing a bunch of video games based off of movies and TV shows that shouldn't have video games again. Maybe it's just going to be like I don't know, like Companion, the video game that came out this year. There's a Terminator 2 video game coming out. Did you see that?
I did see that. And it's like it looks like a 90s platformer too.
Right.
And it's so cool that we're getting these types of games, even though it's like we could be doing so much more, but I think it's fun that people are just doing these little passion projects.
We need more passion in most things.
Yeah, I like seeing people do fun and creative stuff. That reminds me of my childhood, and Acclaimed is right there. I always say Acclaimed. It's Acclaim. There's no ED.
Other AEW topics to talk about, though, we mentioned this a little bit already in our predictions for Revolution, but there's a report going around that they might be merging the International and the Continental Championships at some point.
Oh, are they finally actually acknowledging that?
It's just, it's the same story, but we just
I know. I just didn't know that was an actual report. I know that we've been saying it for a while.
The long and short of what we had said, we both are basically of the opinion, go ahead and do it, call it the Intercontinental Championship.
And make Kenny Omega your first champion.
Yeah. Omega wins. If Omega wins this Sunday, I think that's practically confirmation that they're going to do that.
Agreed.
So we'll see about that in the future. Another thing about future pay-per-view type stuff or whatever, the AEW pay-per-views are coming to Amazon Prime for purchase. For, we're in that era where people are like, you should pay for the right to pay for the right to pay for something. Because remember, you can't watch a pay-per-view on Amazon Prime unless you pay for the pay-per-view after paying for Prime, after paying for whatever it is that you're watching it on, which is not only the TV and or computer that you have, but also your internet service. So you would have to pay if you wanted to just out of nowhere, you're like, I don't own a TV to do this. You would have to pay 4 times to watch a pay-per-view.
Now, I will say this. I know that there was a bit confusion and that people thought, oh, maybe, we'll get them for free. If they weren't giving it to you for free on Max, they weren't giving it to you for free. I like that they're available on Prime because Prime is a thing that most people have. And I think it's easier. And it's an app that's on all TVs and stuff like that. So I can get down with it being on Prime. But yeah, I'd rather the WWE model of I pay for Peacock, so I just have the pay-per-view.
Yeah, to me, this is one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, another platform I'm not going to buy that on. Because
you do have Prime, right?
I do have Prime, but I'm not going to spend an extra $50 on top of that.
Fair enough.
Because that's absolutely fucking absurd. Pay-per-views should not be that goddamn expensive, especially when you're already paying for Prime.
Agree.
Like, if they said, okay, you have Prime and it's $10 a pay-per-view, then that's a lot more reasonable.
I'd probably do it.
So, middle finger to every company that thinks they can bleed everybody dry in an environment where people have less and less money. But, that's what happens when you're in a class war, and that's why you don't vote for those people, you fucking idiots. Anyway, so... If this was a video podcast, you would have just seen 2 middle fingers stick up. Other things that happened on Dynamite to round this podcast out for this week, for the hot tags at least. They had a contract signing between Swerve and Ricochet where Swerve was like, hey, I see your rock, paper, scissors, and I'm going to hit you with scissors as well. And he stabbed Ricochet in the head. Later on, Ricochet got the last laugh because he and Okada beat Brody King and Swerve Strickland in a tag team match. We also had a switchblade because I like doing my puns, so I'm bouncing around doing that. He beat Platinum Max Caster. Not surprised there.
Yeah, that was super quick. Where's Anthony Bones?
When was the last time that he was around? Yeah.
Where's Billy Gunn, by the way?
Probably doing something with an ass.
Damn, man.
Such a great, terrible theme.
Lyrically, it's one of the funniest wrestling themes of all time.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that I was like, Caroline, you wanna hear a really dumbass song?
Yeah.
Yeah, dumbass song. I love to kick him. I don't know if they're going to do the whole lighter fluid thing. Oh, you mentioned this on Revolution. A lot of the stuff that we already talked about on Revolution, so it's not really worth like recapping the same thing.
They tried to burn somebody alive.
Yeah, they didn't. So maybe they do it on Revolution, but I don't think that that's the time to do it.
Tune into the pay-per-view. You might see somebody get burned alive.
Tony Storm has threatened to ban Mariah May to a lifetime of mediocrity.
I thought that was so cold. I sentence you to a lifetime of mediocrity. You're not even good enough for death. That's some pretty heavy shit.
It's a curse that I think somebody put on my head.
Yeah, Sam. I am. Listen, I don't get self-deprecating. It's almost 2 a.m. But yeah.
Anything else happened on AEW that you feel like talking about? I think that kind of wraps us up for my mind.
Mercedes Moné came off the screen and you were just not happy. That was the funniest message I think I've ever gotten from you.
I don't even remember what I had said.
You're just like,
Oh, that's right. Just a big, Like, I don't want to hear your CEO again and all that.
And you're like, CEO doesn't even stand for anything.
Yeah, like make it stand for something else where it's like a pun and you could be like, okay, it's not actually chief executive officer. She's saying CEO and a different thing, but you know that it's a double entendre type of thing. No, it's just, I can't call myself the boss, so I'm going to call myself the CEO. It's everybody acts like that's something great. It's the same as when people go on the indies and it's like, well, I can't call myself the masterpiece Chris Masters, so I'm going to call myself Chris Adonis or Doc Gallows or
Elijah.
Yeah, Elijah in TNA. Or like, you know, it's dumb. I hate it. But yeah, pay-per-view on Sunday. Hopefully that's great.
It will be.
SmackDown tonight, where the United States title's on the line for the women's division. I don't anticipate Michin is going to win that.
She might. If it's like her fourth shot, she might win.
They've been switching a couple different titles around, so I guess you can't say that it's a guarantee that she won't, but I don't think that she will. I think that Sol Ruka thing already kind of forecasts that. But yeah, Rhea Ripley and Belair didn't have Io in it, so anything else that happens in the meantime, we will either talk about on the post show or round up into the hot tags for next week. And next week, actually, like this entire month, for the most part, is just sort of up in the air. Like, we don't have any pay-per-views up until the next one is Dynasty, I think, on April 6th. And that's the onslaught of like WrestleMania season and stuff. So I don't know, now's the time to mess around with some ideas. If anybody wants us to do something like, hey, I nominate Superstar Scores blank or missed the Smark for something, or, you know, whatever it might be.
I was thinking of wrestling as 2020 and looking back on like 5 years after the pandemic. You know, let's talk about the positives, the negatives. What would have changed if there was no pandemic? I was thinking about that.
Who knows if WrestleMania would be a 2-night thing if it wasn't for that?
It might have been, but I don't know.
That might be a future podcast for us to talk about. And of course, drop your comments below and tell us what you think. If you want to make sure we do something, that's what the Pick Your Poison tier is all about. We'll have a Darkcast coming up at some point for some capacity. I don't know exactly what yet because we haven't planned any of this stuff out. So, also let me know if, I mentioned this before, like if you like the idea about me doing these more like multiple Darkcasts that are smaller instead of just like, well, here's like one Darkcast and it's like an hour and a half long or something like that. If you like the half-hour ones and having a couple of them, it's a little bit easier to do sometimes. So sometimes play around with that a little bit instead. But everything else you can find all over the place at amangotree.com. You know what to do. Hit the like button on those, or follow, or subscribe, or whatever it is on those.
Then you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. Stay tuned. I've got somebody working on, updating the Twitch layout. I've got my room being worked on, my office being worked on. I'm very tired. There's a lot of work going on in my house and life, but hopefully things will be back up and running soon. Outside of that, I hope that we're not on here next week talking about the fact that Cora Jade is sidelined. I hope she's healthy and winning the Impact Knockouts title next week. I hope Tony stumbles across $5 million. I want good things for people.
I'll take one.
No, you'll take 5 and split.
I'll take 500 million, but at the same time, somebody's offering one. I'm not going to be greedy.
Even then, you split it with me.
What I won't do is entertain these people that are reaching out with these stupid ideas recently, where they're like, hey, we want you to do these advertisements and we want to pay you nothing for it. Why can't you do that? And I'm like, well, I'm not a fucking idiot. That's why. And then they're like, wow, I'm mad at you. It's like, well, I don't care. You can go fuck off.
Dare you not be an idiot?
What do you mean you don't want to damage your website's reputation for absolutely no money? Come on, be a bro. No, more middle fingers, everybody. There you go. That's what you get. And for some reason, my brain just went back to the Smoking Guns theme from the other day, just for those middle fingers. Anyway, no middle fingers to the people listening to this podcast. Thank you for listening to this. You get thumbs up instead.
You get 5 big booms.
No, fuck those guys.
That's a damn son.
For all I know, they're nice people, but I just think it's dumb as all hell. Now we're going to see that on Sunday. In the meantime, though, have everybody enjoy SmackDown, enjoy your Saturday, enjoy Revolution. We'll be background for that and doing the live coverage and all that stuff. So adios for now. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.